Hello everyone. Welcome to Cricktake. My name is Hassan Ali and we're joined by Sharan Kumar. Do you remember your first six? Your first heartbreak? Your first World Cup? Do you remember the voices that called those moments? The voices that made those moments? Richie Beno whispering, "Marvelous." Ian Smith screaming as Guptill misses the stumps by inches. Or Tony Gregg turning a cover drive into a national event. Before the slow-mos, before the TikToks, it was the mic that made cricket feel cinematic. On this episode, we'll be diving into the voices that defined the game and the ones that might have missed it or ruined it. Welcome to Cricktake, where the mic takes guard. So Sharon, are you ready to move on to our first segment, the throwback?
Absolutely.
So Sharon, commentary didn't start in high definition. It started in the theater of the mind, as they say. Back in the 1920s, when Australia was ahead of the curve and England hadn't even launched the British Broadcasting Channel, cricket commentary was radio poetry. It wasn't just ball by ball, it was moment by moment imagination. Voices like John Arlo and Alan McGilvray made you see the game without seeing it. Then came television, and suddenly the commentator's job changed. They weren't painting the picture anymore, they were explaining it, analyzing it, and filling the silences. And guys like Richie Beno mastered that shift, saying more by speaking less. And depending on where you were, through time, commentary started carrying culture. In India and Pakistan, it became communal, almost like a family soundtrack. In South Africa, it was once split by apartheid. And in the Caribbean, it danced to its own rhythm. And so in this segment, Sharon, I want to discuss that journey with you, from those velvet voices to today's viral soundbites, from Arlo to Harsha, from test match radios to TikTok reels. Welcome to the throwback.
Thank you, Hassan. Let's speak about it.
So, Sharon, let's speak a little bit about the iconic voices. One thing that we want to let our viewers know is that both of us are in our late 20s. So our exposure to commentary has been from 2000 onwards, really.
Yeah, 2003 and above.
Yeah, before that, we were too young to have any recollection of, understanding rather, of commentary.
We started understanding a better commentary only in 2007 World Cup, I guess. Just before that, I was watching cricket as something like my family used to watch. I was just a part of them sitting there watching cricket. I was not sure what is in swinger, what is out swinger. For me, cricket was just bat a ball. And at the age of 7, 8, most of the guys who didn't pick up a cricket as a professional sports back then, it is considered as a bat and ball game. So commentary as a part of game, we didn't pay much of attention back then.
And what's really interesting is that in Pakistan, India, when we were growing up, this is obviously our opinion, people could disagree, but commentary wasn't paid attention to as much, or it wasn't a point of focus in our part of the world. When we look towards the West, we look at voices like Richie Beno, Tony Gregg, Ian Chappell, the guys who in the 70s and 80s, maybe even the 90s if you include Ian Chappell, started setting the standard of what commentary is expected to be. What sort of expectations will listeners base their idea of commentary on? And these guys were the torch bearers of the standard of commentary. But for you, Sharon, what were the iconic voices for you, right? When you were growing up, when you recall your cricket memories, when you close your eyes and think about a moment in cricket, what are some of the iconic voices that come to your mind? And I know you mentioned earlier that in the beginning you did not really pay attention to commentary. So as far as your memory allows you to go back, what are the iconic voices that shaped your childhood experience of cricket from a commentator's point of view?
So basically, during my childhood, when I started watching cricket and started picking up voices back from the commentary, As per my knowledge, I remember Shivaramakrishnan as a commentator. He has a very different voice. I used to listen him. I used to understand he has a different voice when you compare to the other. I have been listening to Harsha. I have been listening to Ravi Shastri. I think from that time to till now, Harsha, Ravi has been my constants. So when I say Harsha, it's Harsha Bogle, and when I say Ravi, it's Ravi Shastri. So let the listeners know that fact. So during my engage, I remember 2007 World Cup's lines. So one of the lines being when Yuvraj hit 6 sixes for a broad, the first six, Ravi Shastri goes on the air saying, "It's huge, that's a biggie, and it's out of here." I remember those lines. And in the same World Cup, when Ravi Shastri calls winning moment of India, when Misbah mistimes a Joginder Sharma and ball slips up in the air, and Srishant takes a catch at fine leg, and he goes in the air, and Srishant takes it, India win. This was a famous line of 2007 when India won the World Cup. These are the lines I remember since in my inception of listening to the commentary. And if I move forward to 2011, in the same way, then Ravi Shastri was commenting, and Dhoni and Yuvraj were at the crease. 2011, Kulasekara bowling the delivery to Dhoni, and Dhoni hits a 6 over long on. That was a famous line, like most of the Indians can connect with. Dhoni finishes off in style, magnificent strike into the crowd. India lift the World Cup after 28 years. Party started in the dressing room. This was the line that Ravi Shastri has said, and it still runs throughout our brain. We remember most of the time whenever we listen Ravi Shastri commenting that it went like a treasure bullet. That was his iconic comment. But these are the lines when we won 2 World Cups in 2007 and 2011. Luckily, Ravi Shastri was the one who was commenting. Look at the coincidence. India won a World Cup after 28 years, and Ravi Shastri was part of both of them.
Yeah. Actually, interestingly, Ravi Shastri has been directly or indirectly involved in all ICC victories except 2024 T20 World Cup.
So Hassan, as I spoke about my childhood memories, what I understand cricket is that most of the time when we watch cricket, if you watch it in a mute and when you watch it with a commentary, there is a Zameen Asman farak, what I understand. So when I say this, what are your childhood memories, and how do you strengthen my comment on Zameen Asman's farak?
You're absolutely right. I think this habit of mine to always have commentary in the background while playing cricket or watching cricket began on the PlayStation. I remember that when I was 7 or 8 years old, I had Brian Lara Cricket 2005. And in 2007, I had EA Cricket 2007. And both of these games had certain commentators that became a part of my very, very early and fundamental almost memories of commentary. In EA Cricket 2007, Mark Nicholas and Richie Beno were the commentators in the game. In the Brian Lara cricket game, there was there were multiple commentators, but the two that always stood out to me were Bill Lawry and David Gower. And as my exposure increased, the more time I spent playing those games, these very individuals, as I had mentioned earlier, began defining what commentary is. And while researching for this podcast, I understood why I perceive commentary the way I perceive it. For example, I don't like a lot of fluff on screen. I don't like jokes and goofiness. I want it to be intelligent. I want it to be focused, and I want it to be adding to the game on screen rather than depleting the experience. And I just want to use Richie Beno's quote that I read in the Guardian, where he said that never insult the viewer by telling them what they can already see. If you can't add to what's on the screen, shut up. And this ability to shut up is what is seriously lacking today in today's commentators.
I totally agree. It's not about what you speak or how much about you speak. It's about how and when you need to shut your mouth. Moving forward in our couple of sessions, we will speak about how commentators turned into the goods, the bads, and the walk the moments in our next segment.
Sharon, on to segment 2, in the middle. Nostalgia aside, let's get real. We mentioned at the end of our previous segment that commentary today is a mixed bag. Some voices elevate the game, others make you wish the mute button had a shortcut key. Sometimes it's tactical brilliance, and sometimes it's pure goofy theater. This segment is where we name names, the ones who get it right, the thinkers, the storytellers, the ones who respect the silence, and the ones who need to take a chill pill, and the ones who made us go, wait, did he just say that on air?
And what did he just say?
This segment will cover the good, the bad, and the absolute what the world of modern cricket commentary. Sharon, when I think of the good in today's commentary world, some of the names that immediately come to mind happen to be part of the Sky Sports panel.
Yep.
We look at Nasir Hussain and his tactical depth. We look at Mike Atherton and his excellent speaking style and his ability to explain difficult concepts with ease.
He explains the cricket in so much better way that you visualize yourself standing right at the center and you are feeling the breeze of the fast bowling. He makes you explain what kind of field positions are set for what kind of bowling. This that's the core job of a commentator. Make you visualize what's just happening. Otherwise, all the things are happening at the TV. But what about the game which is happening in the mind? When a bowler is trying to bowl a bouncer, he takeouts his fine leg to the deep. He sets his fielding accordingly.
Moves his mid-on, up in the circle. And
sometimes he bluffs.
Yeah.
So this is how a commentator trying to explain these things.
And listening to Mike Atherton and Nasir Hussain increases your understanding of the game. Because they have both played at the top level and for a very long time, when you bridge that skill with the ability to speak, I don't know how many of our viewers know, but Mike Atherton is an Oxbridge graduate. He's not some lull who's found his way onto the mic by mistake. So when you bridge the practical experiences of playing the game with the nuances that the English language requires, Mike Atherton and Nasir Hussain bridge that gap beautifully. There are also other styles of commentators. We talk about the Danny Morrisons, the Navjot Singh Sidhus.
High energy voice.
High energy, high octane. They make you enjoy the game.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes they do go a bit too far with their energies. It's a natural correction that they've had to make over time. Danny Morrison has calmed down a little bit. Navjot Singh Sidhu has calmed down, but he seems to be focusing more on poetry rather than the actual game itself. So what other sorts of commentary styles or commentators have you come across that you feel are worth mentioning on air?
So one of the major point I observed when you mentioned Sidhu, the same Sidhu when he is commenting for a T20 match in Hindi and in English, those are two different kind of commentary. When he switches to Hindi, he just goes by a commenting in terms of poetry. He forgets about the game. He don't mention the tactical brilliance of neither the batting team nor the bowling team. He just goes behind the player and try to make him a demigod. When Kohli or Rohit hits a beautiful shot, he puts up a poet, like he starts from the Shahir. The Shahir in him just wakes up and he try to pull that on air.
Maybe he spent too long on the Kapil Sharma show.
That's a good point. But I understand. Like Virat Kohli, if Virat Kohli scores 100 or Rohit Sharma scores 100 or XYZ scores 100, they're going to hit a 25 fours in their innings, like fours and sixes. And every time if you bring up some Shairis, it will left with no taste.
Yeah.
You need to use like a pinch of salt. You should know
When
the
to
worth
use
of
it.
when to use it. So even same goes with the Akash Chopra
Right.
most of the time. So my comment on this is we should have a different sets of commentary for a different set of games. The test cricket being the purest form of cricket, the commentary will also stays the purest of all. You see, in a test match, the same set of commentators who is commenting in an IPL or the other league matches sets and changes their tune as soon as they switch to cricket, test cricket especially. So based on the format, based on the language, there is a split personality in everyone's mind. Do you agree with this?
Absolutely, and psychology has proven this time and time again that if you are bilingual, trilingual, whatever you are, your brain has the ability to compartmentalize those languages and think within those languages. And so much so that there are certain studies that have shown and proven time and time again that the language in which you're speaking to someone has an influence on the way you process your thoughts and the way you deliver your thoughts. And I think this brings us onto the topic of regional languages and regional language commentators. When I look in Pakistan, the first name that comes to mind in Urdu commentary is Tariq Saeed Saab. He is extremely poetic, but not in a cheesy way. He doesn't play around with tonality as much, or he doesn't play around with linguistic features such as ellipses or inversion. But what he does do is that he finds the right moments to use that shairi or that poem. For example, if a batsman hits a six, he would say that the batsman has the middle of the ball, और ये बॉल हवाओं के साथ परिंदों के साथ झूमती हुई स्टेडियम से बाहर.
Wow, wow.
Right? It's tasteful. It's not excessive. It's tasteful. And I've also noticed that Bazid Khan, Sikandar Bakht, who's more of an Urdu commentator, these guys have improved their Urdu commentaries. They're getting there. Uruj, Mumtaz tries, but I feel Uruj has really excelled working in English commentary. She, I think, would get the award for the most improved commentator if I were to give out one. So when we look at Punjabi, Pashto, Sindhi, Balochi, the other regional languages, these aren't developed as much. You see these sort of commentaries being streamed over a live match on a Facebook or on a YouTube kind of platform where your local community, a few hundred people, will be able to access that platform as well as have interest in listening to commentary in that language. But when we go across the border to India, Sharon, the population is much larger. The identity politics is much stronger. And of course, there's always that incentive in India that if you can regionalize any product to that state's identity, you are more likely to be able to churn money. This has been something that we have discussed off mic, and it's a sort of a nature of India's economy. So in this pursuit of economic returns that regionalization in India can give you on the commentary scene, and we've seen that being done aggressively in the IPL, how do you think that has panned out? And do you think the IPL has helped or depleted regional commentary ecosystem?
So I want to just draw an parallel to this comment. If we look at the growth of the film industries, the regional film industries in India, previously when you look at India, it was Bollywood.
Right.
Now like there are the movies from Kannada, from Telugu, from Tamil. You know the names of this
The South
industry.
Indian industry. Yes.
So this has come up a long way. So when I say this, previously the movies used to be in their original language and they used to dub it. Now what happened? The culture has shifted. So most of the regional movies are also shifting towards a pan-India. They are releasing in minimum 5 languages. That is Hindi, Kannada, English, Malayalam and Tamil.
Right.
So this same trend has taken to the commentary section as well. So if I am speaking in terms of the broadcasters, the Star Sports also has regional channels. Star Kannada, Star Hindi, Star Telugu, Star Tamil, Star
And are
Malayalam.
these specifically for cricket, or are they channels that broadcast TV shows and movies in these languages?
So particularly when I say Star Sports, it's basically a sports, and maximum time it will be cricket. As you know that cricket is something way bigger sports in terms of Indian sporting history. So there will be, even in terms of the Olympics, we have a different set of commentators. I'm not sure about the other languages, but for particularly these 5 languages which I mentioned. But one more interesting fact which I observed is in a recent past, I have been seeing in a languages like the commentators are coming from Bhojpuri. So there is a separate
right.
section where the Bhojpuri commentators are pitching in, and that has become pretty famous. The Haryanvi, the Punjabis, and the Bengali language. I heard a commentary in Marathi as well. If you understand a bit of language, since I come up from the Karnataka-Maharashtra border, I heard a Marathi commentary. It was a bit special. It is something which you don't hear it regularly or you don't follow it regularly. But being a local Maharashtrian can connect it more. When I start listening to the commentary, since I understand almost like three or four South Indian languages, except Malayalam, I understand all the four South Indian languages. So it's a bit funny because most of the times, like since I'm 28 years old, I heard my 15 to 17 years of my cricket in terms of Hindi or in terms of English. So when you switch to the local languages, though it's your mother tongue, it will be a bit awkward when you...
Unfamiliar.
It's unfamiliar because when I switch to Kannada, Ota is run in Kannada. When a Kannada commentator just says like, Uttamavada hodeta, ಒಂದು Ota. It means that was a good shot and one run completed by the batsman. So you have a different set of understanding like, what? What has just happened? How did he trying to explain?
It's tapping into a new side of your brain.
Yeah.
Right? You've never experienced the game in Kannada.
And believe it or not, Hassan, a few of my friends, after listening to the regional content, they switched the sports to the Kannada. They just see, even if there is a RCB match, they switch to Kannada. One of the good reason is that since you support Karnataka and the whole commentary is happening in Kannada, I am definitely sure there is a biased commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it appeals to you more.
It will appeals to you more. And the commentator sitting there is not neutral. He is a commentator who is supporting RCB indirectly in at least RCB's match.
It's like sometimes when there are really big matches that Liverpool play, for example, if they're playing Manchester United or Manchester City, I like to watch the matches on LFC TV.
Yeah.
Because over there you have two of Liverpool's very own commentators and they are enjoying the goals just as much as you are.
So look at the contradictory, which I'm going to do it next.
Yeah.
When you ask me about the different type of commentaries, the one of the commentary which I just noted down was like bias commentary sections.
What are those?
When I start listening to the English or Hindi,
Yeah.
whenever you have commentators, I call it as a Mumbai lobby. The cricketers hailing from Mumbai or the Mumbai sector.
Yeah.
Or
the Dhoni.
I'll come to that point next. So particularly when I am watching the Mumbai Indians match, irrespective of whether it is Mumbai Indians RCB or Mumbai Indians Chennai XYZ. So these commentators hailing from Mumbai, I'm not mentioning the names. Most of the viewers can understand whom I'm referring to.
Superb.
Stupid. So, Manjurekar, Sunny, XYZ.
You weren't going to mention any
Since
names.
you already given a hint, it's obviously it's him. So they have a soft corner. I am not saying that's wrong, but they have a very soft corner for the Mumbai team. Obviously, since I hail from Karnataka, I have a soft corner for my team. Same goes with them. But when I start listening to Hindi and particularly their commentary during the match, it is an high tension match and the commentator taking a side of your opponent. That doesn't suit me.
This makes me want to question something. If we just zoom out a little bit and we look at the realms of professionalism in any job, does any job allow you to be biased? That too publicly?
Oh, since we have started speaking about the biasness, there is one more step in a biasness. I'm not sure I should say this on an air, but Ambati Raidu's commentary sometimes is irritating. So every time whenever Ambati Raidu goes on to appreciate, he just brings in Dhoni's trump card. He knows the viewership, the TRP levels, which gonna hit, his fan following gonna increase. So, for example, if Gill sets up a fielding and Siraj gets a wicket by his brilliant captaincy or a luck or a strategic decision taken by the think tank which is sitting outside the ground. But Ambati Raidu comes into the picture and says, this was exactly Dhoni has to do. There is no way you're going to bring that. It's Gill's mind and it's GT's think tank which has thought about it. So here and there trying to bring and making a false scenario to give a credit to someone and always being a biased commentator. This was the same guy who made a fun of Royal Challengers Bangalore whenever they won. So I'm not sure like whether a commentator should be biased or not. But particularly when you are watching an intense match and when you are a professional commentator, you should respect the seat which you are sitting in. You are not sitting there as a CSK fan. You are sitting as a commentator who is explaining the cricket.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. And that's exactly what I was trying to get at. I don't want people to think that we're not being fair. Even when I look at... See, you're talking about Ambati Raidu. I would say he was a decent player at best. Come across the border. The great Wasim Akram, right? Absolutely love the bowler. I have an autographed ball from him. I even gave a gift of his perfume, I think, to one of my friends. Like, we as a family are fanboys of Wasim Akram. But Wasim Akram, the commentator, he's extremely, formulaic. That's the word. And he's formulaic in the sense that he keeps repeating his phrases. Now, Sharon, if you and I have some iconic signature lines, sure, repeat those, right? We would use them because we know the audience or the crowd likes them. But Wasim Bhai has certain lines that he repeats in every single commentary stint, such as, had a chat with him in the morning before the toss.
I heard it.
Best of the lot, I reckon.
Mm-hmm.
The great Imran Khan. Well, he is the great Imran Khan. I think he's the great Imran Khan. But the amount of times, the great Imran Khan once told me, the great Imran Khan used to always tell us, come on, bro, you need to, like, I see that you're trying to be a little humble. You're not trying to take credit. I appreciate that effort. But as someone who's been commentating for the last decade and a half or so, you expect an evolution, an improvement. But he's the kind of commentator who I think is continuing his career based on his reputation.
So when you say this, isn't it just pulling a crowd? He's just trying to accumulate the great Imran Khan's fan as well, trying to pad his career in commentary.
Of course, like in theory of knowledge, when in the branch of philosophy, there's this thought process known as appeal to authority. And in that, what you do is that in order to garner support from whoever is in front of you or whoever is listening, you appeal to certain authorities that are universally accepted for their reputation. So the great Imran Khan, 90% of the cricketing world will agree with you that he's indeed a great. So the moment Wasim Akram says the great Imran Khan, he is adding reputation, integrity, and value to his statement. So I don't mind these kinds of strategies or linguistic features when someone is speaking. In fact, I appreciate them. But all I'm asking for is diversity, a little bit of experimentation. That's the only way you can improve. But obviously this is constructive criticism. However, Sharon, as we had promised our listeners, let's get into the WTFs.
Oh,
right? They're many.
So when we speak about WTF, we should segregate into three parts.
Right.
There are some WTFs. There are high-level WTFs.
Inexplicable.
And then there are some WTF moments which are like funny WTF moments. You like, if you remember, since the technology as a cricket has grown up, there are WTF moments which I experienced. Let's go through that. Then we will go through the commentators' wars. There you will be like, why are these people fighting for something? Like as a commentator, as a professionals, they fight for some random things which you sometimes are a heated conversations. Sometimes they do it on a funny notes. So these are the WTF moments I think we should cover.
Let's start, Sharon, with the lighter ones. I want you to start off by sharing one of my favorite stories between Dravid and Ganguly in the comms box with Harsha Bogle as the moderator.
That was a funny moment. Actually, that was, I think India was playing, I don't exactly remember what was the test match. So Ganguly was trying to bully Dravid, saying that Dravid is a biased captain who throw his ball always towards Sachin, not towards me. That was his Ganguly's claim.
This was a comment on Dravid's captaincy from 2007 to 9?
At that period when
Roughly, yeah.
Ganguly started playing under the umbrella of Dravid.
Okay.
So just before the Kumble era.
Okay.
So then you know Dravid is a gentleman, but he's funny as well. Sometimes he pulls up the funny cards. Then he started pulling leg of Ganguly. He says you can't ball 10 hours in straight. You can't maintain a pace when you are having a long run-ups. So Ganguly being a medium pacer and Sachin being a spinner.
Right.
Yeah. So then Ganguly claims you have thrown the ball to Sachin in a fourth and fifth day of a test match in India, flat pitches, and whereas you were giving me ball on the first or second day of the match, what do you expect from me? And you are basically helping Sachin to get more wickets than me, and now you are comparing me with Sachin for the wickets. How fair is this? He was basically mentioning that you are more biased towards Sachin than me. And Ganguly went next step and pulls up his record. How can you say, Dravid? I bowled 10 overs, given 15 runs and taken a 1 wicket when I had a long spell of bowling. How do you think that I had an inconsistent bowling speeds? And Harsha being at the other end is just seeing what's just happening. He tried to moderate and then he tried to appreciate both of them. That pulling up the stats, how Ganguly remembers his even number. Ganguly is known for his captaincy.
To control the heat.
Yeah. Ganguly is known for his captaincy and a batsmanship.
Of course.
But most of the time, Ganguly is even one of the all-rounder. Not the premium all-rounder like you is, but he was an all-rounder. When you look at the previous history, that India always had a part-time bowler who used to bowl long overs for us.
Yeah, absolutely. The Sehwags, the Rainas, the Tendulkars, the Gangulis.
Now look at the era. Now we don't neither KL balls, nor Virat balls, nor Gill balls, nor Jaiswal balls.
That we will discuss in some other episode where you can complain. But this Dravid Ganguly example is still a nice one. It's not an inexplicable sort of moment on the comms block. This is more of the gentler version of comms box controversies. But then let's take it up a notch. Let's look at, for example, Manjrekar's bits and pieces comment.
Oh. So you're going to the harder versions?
Well, I want to finish off with the Gavaskar Anushka Sharma comments. And the reason we're focusing a lot on India is because a lot of our cricketing exposure is based around the subcontinent.
Yeah.
And so a lot of our commentary experiences stem in and around that region. We always look towards the West as a source of inspiration. This is how we want our commentary to be, specifically the Sky Sports panel. But when we think of our own personal experiences and our personal stories and what things stick out in today's day and age, most of the stories stem from Pakistan and India.
But I remember one of the commentary were, it was India-England match and Oli Pop plays a reverse sweep for Jadeja, I guess. And then Harsha says that a reverse sweep or a switch hit should be illegal.
Oh.
He said it right in front of KP.
Right.
He was the inventor of the switch hit.
Yes.
So KP goes, how? If you want to bowl, if you are a right-hand bowler, you switch your hand and ball left-hand. Who stopped you? And Harsha says that is illegal. Even before you take a guard, you need to mention you are a right-arm fast.
And the umpire before the over begins says, right arm over, right arm off spin, whatever.
So same thing has to be done with the batsman. That was the advocacy done by Harsha, and KP goes all red. He says, if you feel like changing your arm, go change. And that was an heated argument. Then it goes so beautifully, and then both of them settles down. And KP, the Kevin Peterson, wakes up on his chair and moves out of the comm box. That was that much of a heated conversation. It goes on.
He walked away.
Yeah, he walked away smilingly.
Okay.
Mostly that was a change of over or something, but he walks away from the comm box. So
you think about KP and how many runs he scored with the reverse hits. Of course, the switch hits. Of course, he will have a problem with Harsha's comments. I think Harsha, in today's commentary world, is a purist. He looks at cricket from a very traditional point of view, and depending on which school of thought you adhere to, it appeals to some and instigates others. For me personally, I am a purist. I am a traditional cricket lover. I love the long format. I love the game being played on cover drives with new shiny Duke balls that swing for as long as possible. That's the sort of cricket I like. But I know that that's not everyone's cup of tea.
So another kind of conversation, as I'm pulling Harsha's name over and over, because most of the subcontinent people listened Harsha more than any other commentator. So there was a moment when Harsha and Sanjay were fighting for a pink ball controversy. So Sanjay Manjrekar's comment was that when you use a pink ball, there will be a visibility problem. And Harsha takes a side that pink ball has a better visibility than red ball. So in a cricket match, and the match is going on, these people pulling each other's leg. One is saying pro and one is saying the against of pink ball. So Harsha's comment was that if it was a pink ball and if you have a white screen at the back, neither Rahane nor Virat Kohli, nobody ever complained about it. This was the same series that Borders Gavaskar series when they were using a pink ball for the first time.
One thing, Sharon, that in that sort of scenario, I would listen to Manjrekar. The reason being that Manjrekar has played the game at the top level. Harsha, being as intelligent as he is, might not be able to grasp the practical aspects of the game as well.
That's exactly Manjrekar said that until and unless you don't wear a helmet and pad and stand at the center of 22 yard, you won't understand what I'm saying. That was the conversation going on.
It's like, how do you, for example, I would like to tell my listeners that my mother, for example, has no interest in cricket. So when I was playing cricket about 10 years ago and trying to go pro, I would always tell her that, Mama, in the beginning of the innings, I can't see the ball clearly. But as time goes on, I start seeing it more clearly. It's been like 12, 13 years. She still makes fun of me for that statement. And my dad just stands there and he just shakes his head because he understands. He used to play for Mehran University in Jamshoro, Sindh. Back in his uni days, he was an opening batsman. So he obviously understands the need to be able to see the ball clearly. But my mom doesn't understand it. And I'm not saying that Harsha Bhogle is like my mom. Of course not. But what I'm saying is that there is a gap between theoretical and practical experience.
So do you still think Harsha don't have cricketing knowledge?
Oh, I think he definitely does. He definitely does. But something...
The practical aspects of the game?
Yeah, like, you know how... Let's talk about education.
Yeah.
Me and you are in grad school. Why do they encourage us to find work experience or internships or apprenticeships? Because they know that there are certain things that can't be taught in theory. There are certain things that you will only understand once you get your hands dirty. And fortunately or unfortunately, Harsha Bhogle doesn't have the experience of getting his hands dirty. I think that has its pros and cons. The pros being that he's able to provide a more zoomed out, objective sort of perspective, whereas the players can give you more of the subjective sort of point of view where they can get their, they can put themselves in the feet of the batsmen or the bowlers and be able to explain to the viewers how they might be feeling.
So when it comes to commentary, you are basically, it's a skill level and the hands-on experience in the pitch and the best communication skills you have.
Again, see, that's the bridge I was talking about, the bridge that Nasser Hussain and Mike Atherton are so good at holding, right? They're able to, speaking of holding, Michael Holding is another great example of someone who's a very eloquent speaker. His deep, rich voice is melodious to the ears, but that the tactical know-how that he has takes that very same voice to another level. And Harsha Bhogle, as brilliant as he is, and when you look at his journalistic side, when you see his writing abilities, no one comes close. And that's his strength. But we also have to acknowledge and also appreciate the fact that he transitioned towards commentary. And then to be able to make a name for himself the way he has commands respect and applause. But within that limitation that he has of not having played the game, I think he has gone to the very top. And that is an achievement in itself. Just like me and you will never be able to reach the levels of cricket analysis like a pure cricketer can, no one will be able to reach the linguistic as well as writing capabilities that Harsha has been able to reach.
As we were mentioning about the other English commentators, you mentioned their universities. Harsha comes from India's one of the best business schools. He is an IIM grad.
Excellent point. And maybe that's why he's been able to maximize his potential with the limitations of not having played the game. And I'm not saying that what IIM claiming right now is the absolute truth. This is just my interpretation or my perspective on this situation. I could be wrong and you might even disagree. But I think this is definitely something that people should give a thought to. That is it essential for commentators
To play the sports?
to play the sport? And vice versa. Can an amazing cricketer just become an amazing commentator?
No.
Absolutely not.
So the skill of commentating is a culmination of having a practical knowledge and a best communication skills. That's what makes the commentator the great commentator. As I just mentioned, how a commentator's composition should be: the practical knowledge, practical experience, and communication skills.
Correct.
These are the two skills which make a commentator the best. So having said that, there are some instances. I want to say those are not WTF moments. Those are the ugliest moments, I can say. You can't make fun of somebody's family. You can't make a racial abuse on a camera on air. When I say this, there was an instance when Dean Jones went on to say Hashim Amla a terrorist on air just because of his beard.
May he rest in peace, but extremely unacceptable.
Trust me, as you mentioned, Nasir Hussain acknowledged him as a better commentator. The human in him was also come out. In 2012 Indian series, he went on to say India has 1 or 2 donkeys on the field.
Yeah, I remember that.
And most recently, during the Corona era, Gavaskar Saab, he mentioned lockdown के दिनों में इन्होंने केवल अनुष्का की गेंदें खेले हैं. This was the cheapest comment. I don't know with what perspective did he mention
He
this.
said that for Virat Kohli, due to his struggling form at the time.
So he might have said that he played to the balls of Anushka Sharma as a bowling practice. I don't know with what perspective he said.
It was obviously
but
taken
it was
completely out of context and inappropriately phrased.
Yeah, bringing somebody's family into a cricket commentary or a game doesn't give respect to what Sunny has earned these years.
Yeah, you expect more maturity and wisdom from him, given that he's 60 plus years old.
Yeah, because you are representing a world-class sport that comes as a responsibility. You have certain set of things to be maintained.
Certain set of morals and principles that you must abide by.
Yeah. So you are representing a sports in global level.
And I think this is a great segue to our last segment, what's next? Because these sort of discussions raise the point about whether there should be certain courses or training programs that commentators go through before they come on air. Our last segment, what's next? What's next for the world of commentary? We've celebrated the icons, we've called out the noise. Now what comes next? Because let's be honest, Sharan, cricket commentary today feels like it's stuck between nostalgia and Netflix, between Richie Beno and Navjot Singh Sidhu. In this segment, let's discuss how we can rebuild the commentary booth. From AI-generated insights to all-female panels, from regional voices to commentary schools, from decentralized fan-led feeds, to the question that we're all afraid to ask, could the mic be in better hands? This is where we kind of discuss how tradition meets disruption and where we discuss the future of cricket commentary in our last segment. Sharon, let's begin with the recent inclusion of female commentators. For the longest time, we saw all-male panels in men's and women's cricket. But in recent times, and correctly, I completely agree with this transition that we're going through, female commentators are now becoming a standard. But as I read in this blog by Brian Penn, he said that we need to be honest. Some women are included not for broadcasting ability, but because a box must be ticked. So he kind of alluded that the inclusion of female commentators at times is tokenistic. It doesn't necessarily serve a purpose, but rather ticks a box of diversity, inclusion, and equality.
So, me coming from the background of mine and mineral industry, companies now, they are not sticking just to the diversities. I have been a part of a company. During my stint, the company went on to launch all women shifts. I'm not speaking about the shifts which are IT services. I'm speaking about the shifts underground, 200 meters below the surface of Earth. Thousands of people are working under mine, and these whole shifts are managed by women. If these women are such capable of handling such hectic job and thousands of lives at stake, commentary is just a joke for them. Until and unless, in the name of diversity, the work is not getting diluted.
You see, that's a great point. This concept that commentary might be something that is out of a female's reach or grasp is absolutely ridiculous. But one thing that I would like to counter with, when people speak about dilution or not maintaining quality in order to meet diversity requirements, I think this is bullshit. The reason I feel that way is that earlier in this podcast we had talked about the commentators of the yesteryears setting a standard. Right now, these women that are coming into the world of commentary are pioneers.
Yep.
They're the first of their kind. They will have to fall a couple of times. They will have to experiment a couple of times before they themselves can set a standard that is acceptable to them and is appreciated by the rather larger and misogynistic crowd that cricket generally attracts. I think it wouldn't be unfair to say that cricket is more of a man's game than a woman's, fortunately or unfortunately. But now that this unfortunate reality is changing, that cricket is now becoming a people's sport, a sport for individuals, not just for men or women, we need to start finding a balance. For me, I would love that the women's games were covered entirely by female panels. Why do I say that? That's how we've seen the men's cricket for so long. That's where these commentators sharpened their games, sharpened their knives, and became commentators at the top of their game. They weren't sharing the limelight with someone else. So women need to have women's games all to themselves so that they can get the maximum amount of airtime to become the best versions of themselves. And this should not happen in isolation of men's games. They should be working both simultaneously. But in the women's game, that should be their arena, that should be their domain, and men should not be close to it, especially when it comes to the commentary side of things. And like you mentioned, in our society and world today, women are finally being accepted for the value they bring to the table. They're finally being given the reaps of their awards. At least, relatively speaking, it's a lot better today than it has been. So when we see all these transitions occurring in our society, our game should also be catching up. Our game should also be keeping in line. Why aren't we not seeing female umpires in cricket games, in men's cricket games?
I have seen women umpires in men's games, not in an international or a league levels, but I have seen a female umpires. I'm not sure whether it's cricket. I think I have seen them in a kabaddi and in a football match. I saw a women referee.
So once again, cricket is lagging behind.
Yes, they need to pick up.
We're not catching up.
Yeah.
We're not catching up. And that's why I keep saying that this game, cricket, is primarily misogynistic. It appeals to men and men only. And this is where it all has... Like, look at... I'm sorry if I offend someone, but how were women used in the inaugural edition of IPL? As cheerleaders. As eye candy, as presenters. Why did you never think of using their brain? Are their bodies only the thing that they have to offer? Isn't that the message you're sending across by having women dancing as cheerleaders while the men play?
Isn't this the history that made us to fall in such kind of lures?
Sure. But does that mean we don't have the permission or the ability to change those trajectories, to change those weirdly set definitions that men play while the women dance?
That's a tough question, but that was a bad example which we have set. But
Yeah.
that current past which we are seeing, the women cricket has picked up.
Mm.
The women in sports, women in leadership, the trajectory of women's career has taken up a different shapes.
And look, I don't want to sit here and I'm not trying to criticize unnecessarily, but what I'm saying is that we owe it to women to include them in the game. In fact, we shouldn't even have the right to include them. It should be just a given thing. If they want to pick up a bat and ball and if they want to represent their country at the highest level, they shouldn't be discouraged. They should be given all the platforms necessary to reach to the top level. And I know these things are changing, but the reason I'm bringing all these things up is that we shouldn't stop. We need to keep going. We need to keep making these changes. God knows, I would love to have women around me talking cricket. I don't want to talk about it with men all day. Seriously, it gives you a fresh perspective on the game.
I think there was one tournament planned, if I remember. It was a composition of female, like women cricketers and men cricketer, the franchise cricket coming together. For example, like if it's RCB men and RCB women playing together against Mumbai men and Mumbai women. That was a beautiful concept. I think they didn't implement that. This was one of the thing. And when you say this, I just recollected myself to the memory from the place which I belong, from the northern part of Karnataka. Till date, there is no guy who represented India from my area. But a women cricketer, Shreyanka Patil, comes from my place. From that region, it's called as Kalyan Karnataka region. When compared to the southern part of Karnataka, we are bit behind them. And a cricketer, women picking up a sports from that region went on to represent India. And she also got a purple cap in women edition when RCB won. That was the example, a mirror image showing a people to pick up a sports. Nowadays, the sports is, the cricket especially, is moving towards a gender neutrality.
And see, again, coming back to that point of setting the standard, now she has set the standard for the people that are living in your district. She has set an example for the hundreds and thousands of aspiring sportswomen that potentially want to now make it to the top level. So we need to give our female commentators time.
Yep.
There are some fantastic ones already. You have Isha Guha, you have Alison Mitchell, you have Anjun Chopra, you have Sana Mir, you have Uruj Mumtaz. These are women that I have personally seen improve day in and day out. And the reason I use the word improve is because it's just now that they have started getting the chances.
Yes.
And now that they've gotten the chances, it's not long before they dominate the commentary panel. They are the ones that provide the greatest insight. And you know what? I look forward to a time like that. Why not?
Yeah. That will be a great point.
It brings all the women in my life onto the cricketing couch. You never know, right? Because there is often, like my mom always says, like I'm again mentioning her because she doesn't have any affection for the game of cricket. She always says, she's like, in मर्दों को खेलकर मैंने क्या देखते हुए मैंने क्या करना है. So that tells you, because when she was growing up in the 60s and 70s, cricket लड़कों के लिए, badminton लड़कियों के लिए, बस गली मुक गई.
Yeah, I think I represented the Northern Division as a sports called throwball. When I picked up that sports, accidentally, when I said somebody that I represent this North Division, in this, I represented my school team as well as a North Division team for the throwball. They just mentioned that throwball is a women's sport.
And these are the taboos and these weird stereotypes that need to be broken.
Yeah.
And when we speak about giving women the opportunities to express themselves, to be at their best. There is one threat that looms over the future of commentators, both women and men, and that is the integration of artificial intelligence. Us living here in the US, we know that Major League Baseball now has AI commentary.
Mm.
For preparation of this episode, I also spent a lot of time reading journals and scholarly articles on the research that's being conducted in the field of cricketing commentary through the lens of artificial intelligence. For example, in August of 2023, authors Aman Goel and Dr. Piyush Singh at the Jawaharlal Nehru University conducted research on the impact calculation that the players have on a game using the cricket commentary transcripts. And they used natural language processing, known as NLP, for sentimental analysis, named entity recognition, and polarity scoring. And what they focused on was the 2011 World Cup final, where Mahela Jayawardene, as per their research, had the highest impact score despite the fact that Sri Lanka lost. So in this case, they're using commentary to capture contextual influence, which raw stats often miss. So in this case, they're using cricket commentary to inform the use of artificial intelligence as well as stat contextualization to conduct their research. In one of the AIP conference proceedings journals published in 2023, there was an entire research paper published on automated cricket commentary generation using deep learning, where they combine event-based triggers with image captioning models to generate human-like commentary. And the model successfully produced coherent, context-aware commentary, but obviously struggled with real-time latency, visual ambiguity, as well as natural language variation and tonality. The point being, Sharan, is that though the research in the implications of commentary and the applications of artificial intelligence in commentary are still in their nascent phase, we can potentially see that the world of commentary will soon be either threatened or improved through artificial intelligence. In the case of Major League Baseball, where AI commentators have taken over the game, it paints a sad picture for the world of cricket commentary. But through platforms like ours and maybe others, we can maybe advocate for the continuation of cricket commentary through humans.
Hassan, you made a great point of bringing the AI touch to the sports, particularly cricket. So when we have a smaller leagues, when I say the smaller leagues, the leagues where you have a minimal amount of budget, we can just take that amount of budget and concentrate on increasing the quality of the camera or the visuals, or giving the better facilities to the teams, or increasing the number of viewership by having a better marketing rather than spending on the broadcastership. AI can play a better role here, since the technology has picked up a pace where smaller leagues can have a chance to invest their money in hiring a AI thing as a commentary. So Hassan, just imagine when we were in childhood, we always wanted our names to be on the TV. Like, we wanted, if I was batting or if I was bowling, it was a dream of every Indian kid or a Asian, the subcontinent kid, to see their names on a cricketing screen. They want their name like 15 runs scored of 10 balls, whatever thing. But now this technology has picked up so much that there are so many apps, they are giving this platform to cover these things. For example, when we were in childhood, we used to do the scoring using a chart where we need to put like scratch on the numbers. That's how we noted, manual thing. Now we have apps. Now we have a app called Crick Heroes, where you have a whole scoring system. Now it has already introduced streaming also. Like, you can see who's who's batting. Same scoring platform is providing you a streaming platform. Why not somebody have a commentary platform? Just imagine we are having a tournament in Purdue. We are scoring through Crick Heroes, and we have some AI integrated app where it gives an commentary to our smaller leagues. I'm not comparing these leagues with the IPLs or PSLs or Bangladesh Premier Leagues, but what if like we are living up to our dreams? We are playing our loveliest sport. We have our names on the screen, and somebody is commentating for us. It's a dream come true for us. I think AI in upcoming years gonna fulfill these dreams of the many kids who gonna pick up sports with passion.
That's a really good point to bring up, Sharon. I think what these sorts of initiatives will help us with is the expansion of the game. It will make cricket more accessible, more enjoyable, more interactive for the younger generations that are yet to pick up the sport. Speaking of the younger generation, Sharon, we briefly touched upon the possibility of including of training commentators on morals, principles, and generally setting some boundaries that they must remain within. Unfortunately, there isn't a proper dedicated school in this world that trains commentators in any sport. Not only cricket, any sport.
Is it so?
And the closest thing we can find is that in the UK, the BBC has its own academy. It's not a full school, but they do train voices, and they've had competitions in the past such as Young Commentator of the Year. In Australia, the AFTRS is legitimate. They teach everything from mic control to pacing, and a lot of Aussie rules football commentators have come through this program. But again, it's not a full-fledged dedicated commentary school. It's just a part of the offering. And then here in the US, we talk about the MLB and whatnot. You don't have commentary schools per se, but there are certain universities like Syracuse and Northwestern which have known to create top-class broadcasters. So much so that ESPN, Fox, NBC, the big US channels heavily recruit from Syracuse and Northwestern's journalism schools. But when you notice that specifically in cricket, there is no hierarchy to move through, there is no path to the world of commentary, would it be fair for us to expect the commentators to still be on a morally just ground when they're commentating on the game? Or are we just assuming that since these are grown-ass adults that are living their lives, they should know the difference between right and wrong, appropriate and inappropriate? What do you have to say about this?
It's a great point to speak about. As you mentioned, I never thought that commentary should be learned under the roof of some university or the class. Since we are already given a touch on the composition of commentating, there is a practicality, a practical knowledge should be culminated with the communication skills. If a school is teaching you the way of increasing your communication skills, if it is increasing you the analytics. So I want to make a point how the course should be. And if I'm saying, I'm a supply chain management guy, I'm a supply chain management graduate, my coursework is basically designed in such a way that where I can have a theoretical knowledge, where I have a practical knowledge, where I have a area where I can interpret certain set of data analytics, then bring it to the practical world. So same set of culmination should be involved in designing the course for this particular com school.
And then if you want to get even more deeper with your program, you could even have certain requirements. For example, if you want to become part of our program on commentary, you must have played the game of cricket for 3 to 5 years in order to, again, bring that point back we had about Atherton and Hussain, where they're able to bridge the practical experience as well as the communication skills. We are training them in these schools with the communication skills, but do we want to have a cricketing experience prerequisite or not?
So I just don't want to limit them, like particularly having somebody to have a athletic background. There are some passionate speakers who want to speak about cricket or any XYZ sports.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't have the Harsha Bogles or the Tariq Saids.
So that's why during the coursework, since the technology has developed so much, why can't we use the simulators to teach a class of the practicality? If you want to feel how 140 kilometer per hour ball feels like, give him a simulator. Why are you risking him to take up a sports and face him? Let him enjoy and learn the game and feel what it feels to be on the field. The simulators comes handy in this particular technology.
I just want our listeners to know that Sharan is not being literal, but what he's trying to say is that when there is a will, there's a way.
So this is how I feel like course should be planned. At least put a barricade that these are the minimum amount of athletic background you should have. If not, have a simulator passed. At least should have passed this kind of certifications. The simulators you would have said. Just example, when a F1 car is built of millions of dollars, there is a change, a small engine tuning or small component change, you can't just risk $1 million of car taking it on the circuit. If something goes wrong, it goes wrong in billions of dollars. That's why they do with the simulators.
The pilots are trained on
simulators.
Yeah.
Then why not the commentators?
I can see potential flaws with this, but I see the point you're making. If this were to be explored further, I think there is potential in this idea of having a commentary school. Is there enough demand for it? Is there someone willing to supply this commentary school? There are some YouTubers, not YouTubers, they're ex-cricketers with YouTube channels that offer certain things
like
online courses on Udemy and Teachable, sports commentary masterclass on Silkshare or LinkedIn Learning. There are some things like that, but it's so limited and it's not enough to push a kid to pursue a career in the world of commentary.
I know it's a niche area, but I even believe that it will give real-time gems to the sports.
Absolutely. And we also in this episode discussed the advent of regional languages, the rise of regional languages across the Indian subcontinent. Of course, if we were to even look at New Zealand, they could make a case about having Maori commentary. If we look at England, they might say, well, we want one commentary with a Cockney accent and the other one with a Liverpoolian accent. It's up to you what your preference is. So if we have commentary schools that are empowering these young kids coming from diverse backgrounds, the implications or the impact would spread across regions, because then they would not only have command over the skill of commentary in English, but also their native tongues. If you and I were to go to those commentary schools, we wouldn't only come out as good English commentators, we would potentially also come out as good Kannada and Urdu commentators. So we have discussed what we feel could be a potential way forward in terms of having a school for commentary. Maybe ICC can do something.
Yep.
Maybe ICC can do something. They have the money, they have the funding, they can put their foot down, and just like they have coaching grades. Like XYZ has passed the batting coaching grade 1, grade 2. They could do the same for commentary.
They do it for umpires.
They do it for umpires, exactly. So why can't they do it? And listen, when cricket boards are allowed to have biomechanics labs in their facilities in order to help and improve their bowlers' actions, they could definitely afford a simulator.
Easy.
And have someone teach them and guide them through the process of commentary. When I look at cricket boards like BCCI, which is the richest, I look at England and Australia, the big three, I look towards them to take the initiative of a commentary school.
Setting up an
Right?
example.
And exactly. Why? They have the funding, they have the fan following, and most importantly, they have the infrastructure. Now that we have culminated all our discussions, ranging from the all-female panels to AI integration to commentary schools, potentially then feeding regional languages and their growth in the world of commentary, I want to end our podcast on a fun note. I want to ask you, Sharon, that if you were to have a all-format 3-person commentary panel,
Mm-hmm.
who would you have?
Oh, that's a tough question. If it is a rapid round, I would choose Nasir will be my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a huge fan of Harsha, the commentator.
Mm-hmm.
2 aspects. Then I want to include the young commentator who just started his journey as a commentator.
DK.
Yes. He has a very good English. So look at his composition.
No, I'm just kidding. DK is a very good commentator.
He has a crazy English and he understands sports so well. Being a captain of an IPL team or being a state captain, being a coach of IPL winning team, he understands cricket much more depth. And recently when we were watching the England-India series, the composition works so well. DK, Nasir, Ravi, they work so well together. So with this composition, I think Nasir and DK's commentary works in a complementary manner. They work hand in hand. So my dream combox would be Harsha, DK with Nasir. So Hassan, I want to flip the question to you now.
Not to your surprise, and I think anyone who's listened to our entire episode, Nasir,
Mm-hmm.
Atherton,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this is a bit left field, but I really, really enjoy her commentary and I love hearing her voice. I
Mhm.
get happy when she's on the panel. Uruj Mumtaz.
Nice.
Dentist, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
dentist by profession.
Dentist by profession, full-time cricketer for Pakistan, and now a full-time cricket commentator who simultaneously runs her dental clinic.
Excellent.
So, again, Nasir, Atherton, Uruj have played the game and have full-fledged degrees from respected institutions. And I am not choosing these 3 names to make my point. These are 3 names that generally have always appealed to me. I really enjoy Michael Holding. I really enjoy Mark Nicholas. I used to love Shane Warne's commentary. May he rest in peace. I used to really enjoy Ramiz Raja once upon a time.
Mhm.
I don't anymore.
In the same list, we missed Ian Bishop as well.
Ian Bishop. Carlos Brathwaite.
Brathwaite.
Remember the name. And I will say one thing. You mentioned him earlier. A person that I would like to pay tribute to, and I know this might be a bit weird as a Pakistani saying this, but I grew up in the Middle East, in Oman. And Oman has a huge Indian population. And so it was very easy for us to access Indian channels. When I was a kid growing up and I had to watch cricket, I would put on the TV randomly and watch something on DD Sports, Doordarshan Sports, or Neo Cricket.
Mm.
And Lakshman Shivama Krishnan. What? I wish I could do his voice, but it was like, and that's a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Lovely shot by Saurav Ganguly. I can't believe he's doing this so well. Like, it's just so high pitched. And it's almost like he's whining.
Mm.
But my God, there was some addiction to it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it so much. And I remember that when I'd be playing like under 13, under 15 matches just in the city, I'd be fielding at mid wicket or long on. And in order to kill time, I would commentate the game.
Yeah,
Lakshman
yeah,
Shivama Krishnan's
I
voice.
understand. I relate with this point. We used to play league during my corporate days. So I used to sit up with somebody who is a worker there. He commentates in the Mewadi or the Hindi.
Yeah, right.
So I just sit beside him. I will be trying to commentate in English. I know nobody is listening to me. It's just me listening to me. It was so fun commentating something on a lighter note. I don't know whether this will be a part of podcast, but it was a very great discussion and it's a good point to end this episode.
Our episode on commentators. My name is Hassan Ali. I was joined by Sharan Kumar, and with us we always have Rupesh Atmuri. This was Cricktake. We'll catch you some other time, some other place. Goodbye.
Signing off.